Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Yo,
man.
first and foremost, man, yo, what you write, you know, where you from?
Lesk 1, born and raised in North Newark, New Jersey. Started writing and probably just, as far as messing around, little marker tags, 89, and then eventually started getting to walls around 91, but really officially painting on walls 93 was probably the first toy piece I did with my friend Risk, and I'm Verona Ave, Newark. Well, it means for me sacred graphic knowledge. That's what it's always meant for me. But I think other cats in the crew have always given their own variations and meanings behind what they felt SGK was to them. Psycho, one of the I would say the kind of the daddy, the father of the crew in a way. He pushed it as psychotic graffiti kings. And that's part of what I represent too. But what it means to me, sacred graphic knowledge, the movement, the form, of course. There's the classic, the foundation of the piece always is there. And then for me, I've always wanted to capture stagnation. A stagnant piece to me is never where I'm not gravitated towards that kind of style in a sense. So it's got to have a life force, and the movement's got to flow with energy. And then then you could obviously with the letters, and you add in all the other components of the colors, the 3D dimensions, background. But for me, it's always been about movement and form. And I always see I moved into an area where I like to put my pieces as these organic creatures on wall. They're like living, cellular, breathing paint that's thrown on the wall, and it takes form and shape, and it's a living entity, and it's you give it that life. So that's how I envision it, and I've kind of embodied that earlier on, when I started, probably I feel like 94 is when I really kind of grasped the style element of letters, and once that energy took a hold of me, man, I felt it. It was like I was receiving that knowledge, and I've been blessed ever since to really hold on to it. And lettering style has always been, an amazing part of the art form, and something that
your knowledge that
I tend to
you gave out there, or that you created, is vibing off now to this day between myself and Lean, that we're still trying to keep the movement moving and that gift moving. How do you feel about that you are a big key and a big part of that? I hope you know that if you didn't know, because you did really influence me a lot, you know what I mean? And before I ever met you, you were always heard of. You were always in the back of my mind, and it took me a long time to learn all the techniques and all the skills, but and it's still continuing. You know what I mean? I'm back at my house still trying to do shit. So how do you feel that you're a big part of that you're actually a big part of this, you know what I mean, that you helped create from back then to now? And that was what, 94, 93 you were saying?
Yeah, 93, yeah.
And it's 2011 now, it's going to be 2012, so how many years?
20 years.
So that, so how do you feel about that, man?
Yeah, I much appreciate it, It's kind of wild because at the time, when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 13, you don't really, the years are just going by, and you're just going with this movement and that movement, and you don't take account to what 10 years down the road, what's going to happen. So I really didn't know that, because once I kind of moved away and traveled around and left Newark and all that, I didn't know. I really didn't know I left any kind of a stamp on this area. I didn't until cats from SGK were telling me, hey, there's a lot of cats, the generation that came after us, that saw everything that you did in SGK with us, and was and then you just left, and these cats were like, where did this guy go, man? He was really cool,
Yeah, that did suck.
And even to this day, man, cats that, always, because in this art form, it's much appreciated when cats are hey man, I seen your work, I heard of you, heard, of stories, and heard positive things, things of growth and
a
things
time
that you
of when
contributed.
there was actually like no direction. You know what I mean? And of course you had Psycho, but then there was always that missing link, which was you. And like, yo, what the fuck is this fucking guy at, man? Like, you know, like, where is he? Oh, he's not. He's living in Cali. Like, damn, that sucks. So now I have to like, which it's good and it's bad. It's good that, you know, I had to come out with my own shit and learn and, you know, do that. But then when I met you and then I saw your work, that's where the last piece of the puzzle fit in. And I was like, oh, that's
like
what
the
it
missing
is.
link,
You know what I mean? Yeah, so.
Like the missing link. I'm gonna tell you a true story. When I was little, right, I was mad young. I just, you know, I started looking at graffiti around. Went to the SGK pit, and I remember seeing him paint when he was battling Wreck. This was like weird. Was after you battled Wreck.
This was like, this was
You battled Wreck in
94, 95. One of those 2 years.
He was battling Wreck. I showed
Snow
up.
judged it. He was a judge.
Yeah. I showed up to that GK pit, little as hell, big ass head, long hair, glasses, and I'm watching. Exactly, he didn't know I was there. I was watching this motherfucker paint, and I'm like, "Who's this long-haired motherfucker painting? He's nasty." You had long hair back then. It was like
a bushy,
a bowl cut, and he's painting, and I see the way he flicked the can, and like I wasn't like too focused on the color. I was focused on the style of his piece. It was like a fucking oval, like a spaceship, and I'm heavy on that shit. That shit gets my woody up, and it was oval and just everything weird.
That's how my style was back then.
Do you get that? Do you understand that? Can somebody comprehend that? Can you comprehend it? You know what I mean?
In this, especially Newark and whatever have you, there was a lot of traditional lettering styles. Like you go with what the current was,
Basic black,
and you flared it out in different ways. But when you try to rock spaceships and then put your letters in there, like it came out to be different, you know. So
it was. Don't get it twisted. He's a weirdo, and I guess that the weirdness. No, in a good way. The weirdness came out in his pieces, and I was like, I love that shit. Never seen it again. Years fucking later, when I got back in the game, and I talked to a few cats. You know, I talked to Emmy, Bro, Psycho. I'm like, yo, where's Lesk at? First question I asked, who the fuck is Lesk? Where is he? Met this crazy ass nigga with long dreads, and he showed me his book, and I was like, holy shit. And then I'm like, I photocopy this shit. And he let me do it. So
that's why I give him a lot of props for his shits on people, you know, and you know, there's a lot of good people out there, but I'm just saying that keeping it real, it is what it is. Look at the books, it shows the proof, and I saw it, and it's very like good work, you know.
Just what he said. Look at the books, right? I have this motherfucker's black book photocopy. What else can I say?
No.
It was the hardest thing to do to part with it.
I got that shit that shit's mine.
I never photocopied it. I never photocopied it because I respect.
Which is good, so if my book ever gets burned down.
Created up till later on in time. You know what I mean? So like technology was up to date with like, you know, with the flying wing or whatever it was. If you get what I'm trying to say, you know, like so he was that man that like was out of his date. You know what I mean? He was like into the future already, while everybody was still stuck like in a horse and carriage. You know, so you know, and even till today, if you open his book today and you see that shit, you're gonna be like, for real, like what the fuck, man? You know, and I already know his pieces. When I saw his stuff, see Lean photocopied it. I photocopied it in my brain, you know, and I analyzed like everything.
That shit's
So
what did I do?
So I you know, and I looked at it and I see, you know, his direction, and I try to analyze where he's going with it. Was this, was that? And then I took it into my own interpretation,
his art,
which is something
and
that I'm working on.
when you see it for the first time, being a kid, you're like, what the fuck is this? And then even when I was older, when I first photocopied this shit, I was like this, like my eyes were like, you get that feeling like,
yeah, so you gotta look at it. You gotta look at it like this. You gotta look at it for its time.
That's me.
For its time.
And you know what I left behind, the blueprint I left behind on these walls, and in the minds of a lot of the writers that are here doing their thing now. And I'm looking forward to putting my link back into the mix. You know, I feel, you know, it's kind of like for a long time I've always been doing my artwork on the side, but I've kind of took a long break, kind of, you know, and I've allowed it to last way too long. So it's like, now I
be
feel
dormant too
it's
long,
like the
right?
power is like I can't hold it in no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like and I know like back as in all these years that I've been kind of garnering my craft. Now it's like bringing it back. And it's it's wild. Now I think I'm like I was a young kid. Now I'm gonna be a young man.
Back, it's a trip. Well, we all young men.
Yeah. Wrap up a little interview with Lesk. Big deal in North.
Word.
Big deal SGK.
Thank you, brother.
Big part of North as well.
Yeah, like style king. Just to wrap it up, Les Big Dog right here, big influence on the bricks. Myself, MH, a bunch of niggas, can't even name, but a big influence. Like, I'm making it a big deal because not that many cats have seen his shit, and those who know. It's like a ghost. Like, you know about it or you don't know about it, nigga. That's it.
I'm gonna be back.
So yeah, that's a wrap. There's more interviews to come. We got a bunch of head shit we're gonna interview. Just the batteries gotta be charged. So on that note,
thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Lee, man.
Audi.
My nigga right here, Sweaty Palms.
Yes.
I'm gonna holler at you.
Word, man.